I'm the executive director of Nightlife, which means that anything that's nightlife related within the group umbrella, I'm in charge of. Whenever you open a new club in Miami, everybody's gonna go because you just want to see what it is. Live on Sundays, it became part of pop culture. All the celebrities that were going, Drake was shooting music videos there, DJ Khaled was shooting music videos there, Lil Wayne was putting it on his lyrics. And the party was so hot and there were so many celebrities around them that they would get up and perform for free. So we would pay a hosting fee and then we would get a performance out of it. Travis Scott is one of the best performances we've ever had at any nightclub. Threw the mic at him and goes, "Remember when you kicked me out of the club?"
Oh my.
And he just kept walking.
You've taken care of a lot of these big names now. Travis Scott, I remember, came to live. If you wanted to share that story.
He said,
All right, welcome, Purple. Arguably the king of Miami. We have him right here in the studio. Purple, I've known you for like a year now, probably,
Yes,
if not
yes.
longer. But thanks for coming on. Appreciate you coming on. But
happy to be here.
I think a lot of people are wondering really like how you got to this point. So I want to kind of jump into your childhood in terms of, being born in Costa Rica and coming here. And then after that, we'll dive right into, nightlife.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So tell me more about like what it was like from Costa Rica to Miami. Like, how did you end up essentially in nightlife?
Well, like I was telling you earlier, it was the transition wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be because everyone speaks Spanish here, And if we want to jump from when I moved here to from Costa Rica to Miami to where I got to nightlife, it all had to do because I was very popular in high school. In middle school, I kept getting voted as most popular. In high school, I won that thing. What's it called? Where
It's one of those awards.
Homecoming,
Yeah,
Lord,
homecoming.
Duke, and then King, whatever. I actually dropped out of high school, so I never got to win the homecoming thing. Never been to prom. Never went to prom. Never went to prom. But so the house parties back in my era, they were the biggest things. You
Yeah.
rent a big house, and then you charge $5 for guys, $2 for girls, and then I saw it as well. First of all, the guy who would ever introduced me to this party nightlife was a guy that was in private school. I was in public school, and he was in private school. So what that meant was that those kids had more money than the kids from public school, and the girls wanted to be. The girls wanted the private parties, the private school parties better. Yeah. One time, this guy named Eddie, he goes, I want you to come in to the sports bar and invite as much as people as you can, and I'll pay you for it. And I go, that's it? He was like, yeah. Remember, there was no social media.
Yeah.
No, everything was. I think I did it by email, or by word of mouth. And by beepers. Guys, I'm almost 40, so I'm old school. And I think I ended up bringing 75 to 100 people. The guy was like, holy shit, I have to pay this guy $500 or something. Like, for me, $500 for a 17 or 16-year-old was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Back in those days, and I go, wow, this is easy, and turns out that it was easy because I was popular. And what do the kids that are not popular want to do? They want to be where the popular kids are going, and that's why it was easy for me because like everyone at the end of the school they're like, okay, where are you going this weekend? I go, yo, make sure you meet me there, perfect, just for them to hear that I invited them, like that make them feel cool, and then it was easier. And next thing I know, I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do this, And yes, of course, I've stayed throughout. I lasted as much as I could in high school. I think my last year was the junior year, and I saw it as an opportunity to make money, and I never looked back. I had full support from my parents, I think the last day that I went to school, and I was I was the cool, popular kid, the one that was in all those little clubs like Best Buddies, and I joined a lot of cool things that would help the school after school. So I never missed school. I just missed class because they gave me so much authority. I went to one of the biggest high schools in Miami-Dade, which was a 5,000 student school. Braddock Senior High School. Go Bulldogs. Um, they uh, they let me do whatever I wanted. I could walk around campus and school, and even when the alarm sounded, the security guards will see me and they'll let me do whatever because those security guards used to work at the parties that I hired them. Because I needed a security, so I'd hire them for extra money, so they'd let me do whatever I wanted. And it was just cool the fact that I was just like that cool guy, but I wasn't a dick. I wasn't a bully. I never took advantage of that. And the last day of school, the vice principal called me. She goes, and that's fun. The funniest thing is that even the vice principals used to call me Purple on the PA. Like, can we have Purple to the vice principal's office?
Wait, real fast. How did you get that nickname?
As soon as I moved to Miami, within like maybe a week or two, so you know how you're the new kid you come in, you're in school in the middle of the school, you're a new kid comes in, and all the attention's on you.
Yeah.
I didn't have the uniform ready. I went to Village Green Elementary. I didn't have their little green shirt, the collar shirt, so I used to wear a purple shirt. And the kids started calling me Purple. I didn't even know what it meant. I was like, Purple? Purple? I didn't even know what it meant. And it stuck, dude. That's why a lot of people till this day don't know my real name, because I got the name Purple literally right away, within a week or two.
I still know you as Purple.
There's people that know me for 10 years have no idea what my real name is.
That's crazy.
Dave Grutman for like years was looking at, damn, who is this guy that we're paying so much money to? Like, that's Purple's real name.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Vice president used to call you.
So the vice principal called me. And she calmed down. She's like, hey, listen, I'm gonna be serious with you. You need this amount of credits for you to actually graduate with your friends or whatever, so everybody could be at the same graduation. I mean, honestly, whatever she said, I was like, I don't care. I just want to be in school, so I can like promote my parties.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, but she did make sense to me in the sense that she goes, just don't waste any more of your time. You could literally drop out today, go to a college and get your GED, and you don't have to worry about high school right now. You could get your high school diploma, and then you can move on, and you could pursue whatever it is that you wanted to do, And then I literally she left me alone in the office. I wrote down 10 top 10 most paying jobs that I can think of, and I literally crossed all of them off, I crossed all of them off. I'm like, I can't see myself going to school. I can't see myself studying anymore. I couldn't see myself, like, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I just wanted to make money, And I went back to her, and I didn't say anything to her. I just said, yeah, you know what? You're right. Let me try to go get my GED. I called my mom, my dad, and I go, Mom, this and this happening. It's true what they're saying. They don't want me to keep wasting time. So I think I'm going to drop out of school. And my mom was like, yeah, just come home. Like, the thing is, they're very supportive because I've never drank alcohol. I've never been to jail. Every time my parents they lecture me about something, I paid attention to it, I never rebelled against them, like, and they knew that my decision was the right one, and literally that was the last day I went to high school. My parents said, okay, I got the okay, and I never went back to high school, and out of all those things that I've crossed off, from this day, I make more money than that, of all those professions that I, and I'm glad I did that,
That's amazing. And so you started off basically getting people to come to the local sports bar.
So the way, besides that, where we make the most money, because when you went to a sports bar, you would have to split the cost or whatever it was or rent the venue first. At the houses, we would just wait till someone's parents were out of town, and just fucking do like a crazy ass party. We'd always make sure that we clean the house or whatever. That's why I've been telling you, like, I've always hired security, and it became a real cool entrepreneur thing as a beginning, because that means I would gather all the money. I will look at the expenses, like DJs, the girls that work the door, cashier, security, and then whenever we paid off that, then we split the money that was made, and then I was like, wow, this is so easy, you
Yeah.
know?
Wow. So you basically got a touch. Yeah, I mean, you got your taste of nightlife even just from these house parties. When did you make the transition from house party, sports bar to an
So
actual
as
club?
I got older, right when I turned, I did try to go get my GED. It was what the first thing you do when you go try to get your high school diploma, you do an assessment test, which it's just a 3 hour test of from ninth grade to senior year of a bunch of questions. They just want to see where you line up at. So whenever you finish that test, they put you at a class. Okay, he only knows about freshman year stuff. And I did so good on that test. I ended up um, being like a senior level class thing. Um, and it was so boring that I didn't even finish, because I at that time I was so into the parties that I was making so much money that I didn't have time to go to school. And I never actually finished that. Um, what happened was when you turn 18, all your friends turn 18. So the biggest party thing that was back in the days was Coconut Grove. It was like 20 bars in like two or three long streets. That it was they were so busy that the cops had to shut down the streets because there were so many people walking in the streets. And what I did was, me and my friends back in the days, we had the accounts of like 3 or 4 clubs, and all those clubs we were making money out of them because of now we were older, so there was a college crowd. um Obviously there was we'd make money off the door. We had the deal always was 20% of the, I'm sorry, 100% of the door, which meant we kept the whole money at the door, whatever we charge. And then we kept 50% of the bar of the liquor sales.
Wow.
So yeah, it was
That's a
great.
good deal.
Yeah, and
50%?
remember we had like 415, and we had
Oh,
four.
15, 15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, yeah.
We had 4 venues that we had 4 accounts that we were in control of.
Gotcha.
Oxygen 609. I think it was called Live, and I think Senior Frogs or Mr. Mo's, where Green Street is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
What happens when we got older? 21 hit, boom, Miami Beach, the big clubs, the big leagues, what we call it. And from there, whatever following I had from the college crowd, they followed me all the way to when I was 21. The first year of working at Mansion, the cool thing about back in the day, starting like from the beginning of this whole nightlife thing, is that when I used to be a promoter, there was only 5 of us. Legit, you only had to know 5 people in order to get in the hottest clubs. So what was my list look like? 150 girls.
Wow.
There was a point where they were like just clicking off like 70, 75 to 100 girls a night, because there was only 5 people that you could get into these clubs. These clubs used to hold 2,000 people. So you say my name, you get in. And there was only 5 of us that promoted the best clubs. It was me, Mo, Lyndon, Jason Odio. Jason Odio owns a bunch of restaurants now. Um, Paulo, Tatanka, all these guys. It was literally only like a handful of us that you could only had access to all these clubs.
Wow.
And I was doing so good that Roman Jones took notice of me, and he called me his golden child, and he had given me his table. So I sat at the owner's table every Friday and Saturday. And back in the days, Mansion was, you'd have Diddy on one side, Paris Hilton, Will Ferrell. Like it was the coolest thing in the world back in the days. Literally a bunch of celebrities and then Purple.
Wow. Which is a big thing for anyone who doesn't know in nightlife. The owner's table is like,
The owner's table is like unlimited liquor. You have a waitress right there at all times. You don't have to worry about anything.
yep.
Yeah, I gained that right away. Because of all the girls that were coming in through my list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you got there, you got to the owner's table. Then what? Because that's almost like the peak of it, right? Once you get to the owner's table at the hottest clubs, what were the next few years like for you?
We ended up working at Story for couple of years.
So Story was your main spot,
Story or Mansion?
or I mean, you said Mansion.
Mansion.
Yeah.
Mansion was the biggest club back in the days, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a hospitality group, which was Roman Jones, that used to own Mansion, Opium, where Story is now, Mokai, where Gala is now, and Mr. Jones, Set, where Mr. Jones is now. So he used to own like 4 of the best clubs back then. And yeah, I got to work in all of them. And what came next is obviously, we grow up from that, and then I got the golden call from Dave Grutman. Dave Grutman used to work at Mansion too. I think he would do the marketing, and he had it already quit because he wanted to venture out and do his own thing on his own. He called me. We kept in. He was a noisy guy. He always wanted to know what was the talk in the street. So I would go to his office and like, oh, fill me in, what's going on,
Yeah.
So I go to his office and just fill him in, like what was new, what was going on in the streets. And one day he called me. He goes, I want you to have a meeting with me at Fontainebleau. I've been living here my whole life. I've never been to the Fontainebleau Hotel prior to that, And so I was like, what are we doing there? He's like, just trust me, we're doing lunch. When Dave calls you to have lunch, you go have lunch. I go the next day. I go to Fontainebleau. I park. I walk. I'm inside waiting in the lobby. I call him on a cell phone. He goes, I'm sorry I can't make it, but a guy named Joe Lopez will meet you. I didn't know this was a meeting. I thought I was going there for lunch. I end up meeting another guy named Joey Vanas, maybe. He hands me a construction one of those hard hats. I go, okay, what's happening? Let me show you the biggest thing that you're about to see. And we walk in the lobby of the Fontainebleau. We make a right, and it was Live being built.
Wow.
It was the skeleton fucking thing of Live.
Wow.
No DJ booth, no electrical wires, just a big concrete fucking, workers just finishing up the last things, And imagine, Live is already big as it is, so imagine it without anything, it looked even bigger, you know? I was like, wow, Miami's first mega club. Besides Mansion, because it was just about as big as the size of Mansion. I go, okay, what's this? He goes, this is Dave's new club. I go, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, he wanted me to give you a walkthrough, and I want to know what you think. And I was just like, I think it's huge. I go, when you guys plan to open? He goes, November this year. I was like, damn, are you guys gonna be done? It was like, oh, it will be done. We have to, because we want to time it with the Victoria's Secret fashion show. I go, wow, this is gonna be huge for Miami, And that's when I told you about the earlier story of I met Joe Lopez, which was Dave Grutman's partner back in that time, and that's when he literally, the guy was just very tough guy to be introduced to, because he was so busy, and he's actually one of the best guys I've ever met in this industry. And he was just like, I heard you're the king of pussy in Miami, And he goes, but I don't care about that, I don't care. The girls are gonna come. Trust me that the girls will be here. That's gonna be the easiest part of your job. I need to know if you're gonna be able to bring me money, because that's what we need here, And I go, yeah, for sure, well, with girls come money, I'm honestly, I'm sorry I came here for lunch and this turned out to be an interview, and nothing. The next day I went back to Dave's office. He goes, and we're talking, and then I gave him, I think we were talking numbers literally right away. I think I told him how much I was making, and he was just like, okay, I'll match it, I'll match it plus more, and Dave Grutman is King Midas, whatever that guy touches is gold,
Was it, but back then, was he, he wasn't as big as he was
No,
now.
of course not.
Yeah.
No, he was just a guy that was doing events here and there.
So what made you want to trust Dave? Obviously, I know you had a previous relationship with him.
Just knowing that, just because I know he had so many relationships with so many celebrities. He was a guy that he was in control of all the sponsorships and and he was very good at he owned that marketing company. And I was like, I can't go wrong with this guy. I was like, he was like, help me open this club. And I believe I might have been his first hire ever. Um, my next job was to find other people to work with me or under me. And that's when that was my first taste at, like, I guess, being a boss. Because now I had the chance to get people to work for me and teach people to how to open a new club. Because for me that was new. And yeah, and I ended up putting up a team. And that team had put another team under. And then it was a green light from there. It was with the club open. It was a huge hit. It was just tough because whenever you open a new club in Miami, everybody's gonna go because you just want to see what it is. The tough part is like you had to make it so cool in order for people to keep coming back. And yeah, we did that, but it was just so tough because there were so many clubs before 23rd and Collins that nobody wanted to go to 44th and Collins. Those 20 blocks made people think that it was so far.
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was a year. It was a very, very strong. It was a very tough year. And Dave came up with another grand idea of hiring big name DJs.
And that wasn't a thing.
No. So what you had in the mansion and the Moncans, you just had like the regular local DJs, and I think that's as big as we went was DJ AM. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And remember, there was no Steve Aoki's. You've had the Dave brought Vegas to Miami. Because these names that we ended up bringing were already going to Vegas. And that saved us. That completely put us where we are today, because we started booking Tiesto, Cascade, Paul Van Dyke, even back then. There was no Steve Aoki yet, maybe. Well, Steve Aoki has been DJing, was of course DJing around that time, but he wasn't as big as it was, and that was easy for me in order to get more people to come because now I had something to sell them. Okay, now we have Tiesto. And what we did is we gave them a residency. These DJs were there once a month. And then we brought Live on Sunday. Live on Sunday was one of the biggest. Shout out to Mo from Gala, because that was his idea to bring Live on Sunday. So that party had already been going on at Opium. It was called Opium Sundays, which obviously owned by headliner Mike Garner.
Yeah.
That party was already going on Sundays at Opium, and Mo made the deal to move that party to Live on Sunday, where we are today. And god damn, that shit was just a fucking nuke.
Why do you think it became so big on the Live on Sundays?
Well, Mike Garner and his team are probably one of the best promoters in the game. They were the ones that brought that urban hip hop clean crowd to Live on Sunday, and then
those guys were already going to OPM, but then moved them.
Yeah,
to Live.
we Mo was able to broker in the deal, and then the Live on Sunday name came big, and it became big because shout out to Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne was our biggest supporter back in the day. I think he made a song right away, like Live on Sunday, wow. King of Diamond Mondays, when the strip club King of Diamonds was open.
Yeah.
It became very culture. It became part of pop culture. Live on Sundays. All the celebrities that were going. Drake was shooting music videos there. DJ Khaled was shooting music videos there. Lil Wayne was putting it on his lyrics, And Little Sunday will perform for. He said he was having so much fun at that party that he would literally, whenever you saw him get off the table, make that little U-turn, he would give you a full 45-minute free concert every other Sunday. Every other Sunday. What ended up happening is that we had this thing where we would pay artists to host, and the party was so hot, and there were so many celebrities around them that they would get up and perform for free. So we would pay a hosting fee,
Yeah.
and then we would get a performance out of it.
Wow.
And it worked out for them. One of the biggest names that there are right now. They all started there. Bad Bunny performed there on a Sunday when he had just one song out. And Cardi B. I remember Cardi B, the guy who brought her up. I was, because I'm always like in the DJ booth, and I'm always like paying attention to who's supposed to be there and who's not. I'm okay. Who's this? What's going on? Like, why is she here? Like, this is Cardi B. She has a song named Bodak Yellow. I'm like, Bodak who? I was like, no one's ever heard of that song before. And all these people that perform these songs for the first time, yeah, of course, you're looking up like them and like, okay, who are you? It might be a bop, but a lot of people started up from Live on Sunday, and it's been a fucking amazing thing to watch it grow, to where it's at today,
Yeah. Yeah. And so for you, your transition from in the very early days, it's, bring sales to the club. How was your transition into more of this like relationship, manager and even moving up to where you are now? How did that happen?
Well, the official title, I'm the executive director of nightlife, which means that anything that's nightlife related within the group umbrella, I'm in charge of. We have to oversee anything that you can think of that has to do with nightlife, and none. The transition has always been, it was handed down to me because I deserved it. You work hard and you learn from your own mistakes, and you've just been learning from other people too at the same time. I've always said this thing, whenever you're confused about something, just ask questions, and that's where it got to me. That's where I'm at. That's why I'm where I am today, because I don't just stay quiet. I always ask questions, and it's been like, I've read several books about hospitality, because that's exactly what we do. It's exactly what I do right now. I make sure that anybody who crosses any of our restaurants, any of our nightlife venues, I need to make sure that these people get their best time, the
experience,
the best experience, because fully what you're doing at any of our venues, you're feeling an experience, and I try to give them the best.
Yep. And you've, especially like what you mentioned in the early days, you've taken care of a lot of these big names now, but I remember even you told me a while ago, like Travis Scott, I remember came to live. If you wanted to share that story.
That was a great story. The guy who he's from Texas, Derek Henry, who was a partner at 11. He used to be a bodyguard for the Jonas Brothers. And I guess whoever was around Travis Scott's crew around that time had called Derek, and Derek is from Texas. He's like, Derek called me on a Sunday, Live on Sunday. He goes, I have a new upcoming artist named Travis Scott. Mind you, I had no idea who that was. Nobody knew. He had just had a mixtape out or something like that, and he goes, and like I've always told everyone, I don't care who you are, I'm going to treat you just the same, Derek Henry was already a dear friend, and of course, if he's going to send me whoever he wants, I'm going to treat him exactly the way I'm going to treat, a Beyonce, to a whatever, a Joe Blow. And he goes, I believe he's going to be the next big thing. Can you just look after him and his boys? I go, as soon as I got off the phone, it turns out that the Travis Scott ended up, the way he described him, kid with dreads and a little skinny kid. And I looked at him, Travis, yes, of course. Turns out that he was wearing shorts. We have two rules at Live. The girls have to have no sandals and no shorts for the guys. and the guy was him and another one of his friends were wearing shorts. Mo, or number 2 in the company back then, he was like, okay, you make the call. I ended up letting him in. I gave him the whole backdoor entrance. It was him and 5 of his buddies. I put him at the owner's table. They were smoking so much weed, and we put a lot of clients. You've been there. We put a lot of clients there.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who these guys were. I think Mo ended up like kicking him out or something like that. Mo, it's very Mo stands out. He's a bald guy with the big white beard. He looks like Santa Claus. I guess Travis Scott never forgot him. A year goes by, Travis Scott ends up becoming one of the biggest phenomenon in this world. He ends up releasing one of the biggest albums, within that year. And what did we do? We ended up booking him at Story. Was one of, if not one of the best performances we've ever had at any nightclub, because if you've been to a Travis show, you know how energetic he is. He jumped from the DJ booth to on top of the table to the other column. It was insane. He hopped back on the DJ booth, and guess who was standing there? Mo, the guy with the white beard. He looked at him, threw the mic at him, and goes, "Remember when you kicked me out of the club?"
Oh my.
And he just kept walking. And Mo looked at me. He goes, "He never forgot." And he goes, "No, he didn't forget. He didn't forget." And until this day, I'm still in a very tight relationship with Travis Scott, because I've always looked up to him,
Yeah.
And yeah, you just got to treat everybody the same, I've been, again, Bad Bunny, another big guy, he was brought to us on a Live on Sunday by this guy named Sencillo, who handles a lot of these upcoming Latin guys, and yeah, you always gonna be the benefit of the doubt. You're gonna look at him and you're gonna be like, okay, he may or may not make it, but fuck it, let's treat him the same, you never know, and I showed Bad Bunny love right away since the beginning, and until this day, this guy could be across the room and he will literally come up to me and give me a hug, just because that one time that I took care of him,
People don't forget the good and the
same
bad.
thing with Abel, The Weeknd, one of our promoters friends from Canada had brought him, and and this was when he had that crazy hair and he looked really crazy, and he was like, "Yo, this is gonna be a big one," what's his name? The Weeknd. And I'm like, great. Introduced myself. We took a picture right away, and till this day, he's giving us free tickets, for any of his backstage. He loves when I come to the back of the house and then gives him a hug, and we're there for the whole praying thing before he goes on, and it's just because I took care of him since day one, So you always got to make sure you take care of anybody, just because you never know,
Yeah.
You got to keep that relationship with them too,
Yeah, exactly. It's just treat people right, treat people how you would want to be treated, and
Exactly.
then good karma.
We're
will
all
come
the
back.
same,
Exactly. Nice. And so when did you start really getting big on Instagram? Because I remember at one point, even before I came to Miami, I do remember just like seeing your Instagram. I'm like, who is this guy? Like,
Shout out.
Miami.
Shout out to Jeff. Jeff?
Yeah.
He was my barber back in the days. Jeff was friends with Logan and Mike.
Yeah.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
Jeff used to live in the Flamingo, where I used to live in the Flamingo. The first, I think within like 6 months of Instagram becoming an app, remember it was just a photography thing. We lived in the same building. He goes, "Yo, come downstairs. I'm ready to give you a haircut, whatever, blah, blah." He goes, "Yo, download Instagram." I'm like, "What is that?" "It's a photography thing, I go, "I'm not into this shit like that, whatever." I downloaded it, and if you could go, I have 7,000 pictures, but if you could scroll all the way down, my first picture is Jeff and I cutting my hair. And no, I became, obviously, it was a hit, it was a thing where, my first couple of pictures, I literally took a picture of anything and I put the HDR filter, whatever it was, and I thought it was cool, And of course, it turns out it was one of the biggest tools we use today, you know, and I was very good at it in the sense that I used it for the right purposes, you know, and then I figured out a way to how to continue. I mean, how to merge that together with you know with our life, you know, what we do, you know, which was social marketing, you know, and you know I was very good at it, you know, and then I just blew up, you know, and my engagement till this day is like in the millions, you know.
Yeah. No, I remember. I think like anyone who knows Miami or is gonna go visit Miami, they probably would have seen your Instagram.
I had a very good someone from Australia had come up to me. He goes, I flew in just to try to meet you because of how crazy and how genuine your stories are from Instagram, just because you live a movie. You live a movie. There are 7 billion of us in this planet and nobody has your life. And that's fucking interesting.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think to the outside world who are watching, who don't know about this life, right? Like, keep in mind, most people can't even get access to just even a regular club. As a guy, it's very tough.
Yeah.
So
just to give you an example, this past Saturday we had a Hummer event that was hosted by Dave Grutman, and between all that, I'm getting a call from J Balvin, from Maluma. They wanted to go to Gecko. Gecko is sold out. J Balvin wants 20 people dinner. Maluma wants 10 people dinner. And the thing is, people don't realize when it comes to restaurants, it's not like a club. It's not like we can physically remove people.
Yeah.
And okay, here's your table. You know, we are trying to give you the best possible experience at the restaurant, and we don't want to piss people off just because of what the internet is right now these days. You know, you get a bad review and it could kill your restaurant. You know. And yes, of course, you are trying to accommodate celebrities at the same time too, and it's crazy. Like there's Ivan Varios, who's DJ Khaled's photographer. He had captured the moment where Chris Cuomo and I are trying to figure out how to satisfy these two big names, you know.
Yeah.
And I just always think oh my God, I would imagine if there's a camera, you know, and people are looking at our conversations, you know, and it's only happening to us at that exact moment, you know. These people are not reaching out to anybody else; they're reaching out to me, you know. And I think it's cool, yeah, you know. Like a lot of people don't realize, you know, of all the things that go behind the scenes, you know. And the things that I'm trying to make happen, you know, I'm trying to make J Balvin's birthday happy, and then Maluma happy, you know, and then there's so much politics into it, and then there's also the people that have already reserved their tables, you know, it's crazy.
100%. And I think that's why I would say a pro with you, because even for me, I've booked stuff through you, and you respond so fast.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It doesn't matter what time of day.
Yeah. I'm always been very, very, very good at responding back.
Yeah, very fast. I'm messaging. I think I messaged you one time when you were in Europe in Ibiza or something. You're it was 4 a.m. your time, and you still got something.
It's an addiction. You know, it sucks. You know, because sometimes you want to disconnect. You know, but then you don't want to lose that relevance. You know, people always tell me whenever I come up with whenever I'm in another state or whenever and then yo, I was in Miami, I didn't hit you up, I didn't want to bother you. I go, motherfucker, if you don't bother me, then I become irrelevant. You know, hit me up.
Yeah,
I got time. This is exactly what I do. You know, I'm one of the top guys for a reason, because I make shit happen. You know, and no, people realize that. They're like, okay, when you stop hitting him up, then I become nobody. You know?
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter. You know, Dave Grutman, holy shit, shout out to that guy. You know, that guy doesn't even have to deal with half the people he has to deal with, and he still respond. You think I'm good? This guy's up at 7 a.m. playing tennis, responding to emails, responding to calls, going to meetings, responding text messages on those meetings, conference calls, you know. That guy's a beast. Yeah. Very inspiring, you know. I learned from him, you know.
Got it.
Yeah.
What would you say has been the biggest thing you've learned from Dave Grutman?
His his patience, his drive to work. You know, he's a perfectionist. You know, these I hate the fact that this guy goes to any of our venues and he notices a light blinking. You know, and then like it's my job to notice stuff like that. You know, and he's literally looking up at the lights and like yo, we got to change that. You know, like fuck, man, like. How do I not notice stuff like
Wow.
that? You
Even
know?
the tiny
The
details for
tiny
where he's at.
details, from the straws to the napkins to wherever, however the forks and the knives are placed. You know, he literally walks in and he's looking at all the tables. You're not really looking at it, but sometimes you notice that he's noticing and things like that. You know, and yeah, just some of those things. You know that that I'm still learning from the guy. You know,
100%. And you've been learning from him for a couple decades now.
I've been with Dave since we started Live. Yeah, it's gonna be 15 plus years now. I've been with Dave since day zero when all this started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a phase that you had where you were running marathons on top of nightlife, right? Like, tell me more about how you got into that.
So it's funny because when I started doing that, I've already like had like a background in all this, in middle school and in elementary. So I think the only reason why I got really popular is because I came in the middle of a school year in an elementary school, and I think towards almost at the end there was a thing called field day. Obviously, everyone had that, right? In this field day, they've had several activities. It was like little games here and there. The biggest one was the mile run. And I didn't know what the fuck a mile run was. They were like, you have to run 4 times.
Yeah.
And I go, what do you get? He goes, whoever gets first place, whoever gets first, second, and third, that class from that student, they get a pizza party. And I was like, I love pizza. I love pizza. He goes, but don't worry about it. You're never going to beat that kid. Can't tell you his name. I blew the kid out of the water.
Wow.
I was the most talked about person till the end of the year. Because that kid had already been there for 5 years. So I guess whenever he started running the mile run, no one ever got close to beating him. Blew him out of the water, won my class a pizza party, and everyone loved me since then. And I guess I've always loved running. Time I got to middle school, I joined the cross country thing, which is the long distance run. It's 3.2 miles. Again, they told me like, yo, if you win first place, we get pizza. We get free pizza. I go, I love pizza.
Yeah.
I go, I love pizza. I was blowing kids out of the water, bro.
That's crazy.
I was blowing kids out of the water. Fast forward 2019. I've always said to myself, if I'm gonna be doing nightlife for the rest of my life, I need to balance my health. So I've been at the same time. I've also been working out for 20 years. I've tried to maintain a healthy diet. I've tried to work out as much as I can. I've always find time to try to work out at least 1 hour, even to get myself to the gym and do a steam room session and go to a cold plunge. I need to in my head, I need to know that I did something healthy today. 2019, Mr. Miami is on his way to lose a lot of weight. I think he had mentioned by passing that I was one of his biggest inspiration, because he knows that I was always in the gym, involved in everything. And he had signed up for January's big marathon. It's called the Miami Marathon, where you choose to run either a half marathon or a full marathon. A full marathon is 26.2 miles. A half marathon is 13.1. He has signed up, and he was training for the full marathon. I surprised him by signing up for a full marathon like a week before. And I've never ran past 5-10 miles before that, maybe. Running a marathon was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
26.2 miles was crucial to my legs, to my mental health, it was a very, very bad experience on no training.
Yeah.
I wanted to look cool, and I ran with Virgil's Zooms, the off-white Zoom
Yeah.
things.
Zooms.
I forgot. It was one of the worst choice of shoes that I've ever that I've ever done. I built up a pain so bad on my legs, on both of my legs, that by the time I got to mile 15, I crashed so hard that everything was hurting. It felt like I got hit by a train. Um, I walked, I walked and ran a little bit, and by ran I mean like I was just like walking really fast the last 15 miles.
Dude.
But what drove me to finish was the fact that my parents were at the finish line, and I'm not a quitter.
Yeah.
And even though I was hurt, I finished. It took me, I don't know how long it took me, but it took me a long time. I finished, and I said to myself, I want to do it again, but I'm going to train for it. That was January something. The next one was the Miami Beach Marathon, and it was on March. So I had 2 months to train. The biggest advice that I would give anyone to try to run a marathon is you need the proper shoes. I went to Run Miami on 50th and Biscayne. They watch you run. They record you running on a treadmill, and they record you running outside because they want to see how your foot lands. And from their expertise and from whatever they watch you doing, they give you 2 pairs of shoes, and they're like, these are your running shoes, and they explain to you why, because of the way how your foot lands. This is the sole for your foot. I ended up buying the 2 shoes. He goes, come back in 2 days. We're doing a 6-mile run, just for fun, I felt like I was running on clouds. I felt after those 6 miles, I felt like I hadn't had taken a single fucking step because I had the right shoes. No soreness, no nothing. I had literally felt like I was running on clouds. It was the proper running shoes. It was a New Balance and Brooks, I go, wow, this is life changing. And then I kept practicing with them. I had already signed up for the Miami Beach Marathon, the half marathon, and my goal in my head was to run it in 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think I did it under 2 hours, just because I had the right shoes. I think I did, and I ended up doing 6 marathons. Sorry, 5 marathons and 6 triathlons that year. Because I had the proper
shoes.
I had the proper shoes, and I was training for it. You can't just get up and do a fucking full marathon, with no training. It was. I guess you could say I'm a cardio king. I love running. I love doing long distance things. It became an obsession, because then after I figured out that, okay, fine, I got the running on lock. Let's get the bike on lock now. So the bike came only because the triathlon it consists of swimming, running, and biking. Swimming, biking, and running. Swimming has to be first because it's the hardest thing, because you're working out every single muscle of your body, and if you leave that last after all those cardio, your heart could shut down. So you always have to, on any triathlon, you always have to swim first. Right away, you have to get on the bike. I was doing sprints. Till this day, I still haven't done a crazy long distance marathon. So it's like a quarter-mile swim, a 10-mile bike ride, and a 5K. It's fun. They're hard if you don't train for it, but they're so fun. If you train for it, you're done in an hour.
Wow.
And they're so much fun. They're really fun. I'm sorry to say, but don't take my advice. I did all of these on no training. I did all of them on no training and on no sleep. I was doing them straight off getting off work and straight off adrenaline. and I was crushing it. It was a good thing. And to finish off my longest distance of the cardio, I think I did. It was 100-mile bike ride from Boston. I did it in Boston for a Best Buddies charity event
100 miles.
on a single day.
That's
And
crazy.
I've done a few in Miami, but when you're in Miami, you don't have hills. We don't have mountains, so they're just straight up flat.
Yeah.
Boston was an average of 4,000 feet of elevation. There was a hill that you made a turn like that. It was going up, then it went up, and then it went higher. It's just pretty much. You ever been on those? What are those bikes things? The ones that all the girls go to the. What are those bikes where the girls train and you chain?
Oh, Pelotons?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
imagine setting it at the hardest level for like 20 minutes.
Man,
Your leg muscle turns into like mini Hulk legs, but it's
Yeah.
painful.
got it.
It was 4,000 feet of elevation, but I finished
That's crazy.
6 hours
That's crazy.
nonstop. You can't stop because of the fact if you stop for longer than 10 minutes, if your legs get cold, they cramp up and it's over. Call an Uber.
Yep. Gotcha.
But what do you take from all this is you're talking to yourself, you're driving yourself. I'm talking for those 6 hours, your voice is telling you quit. Fucking call an Uber, and you're literally going up against yourself, but you just don't want to quit and you want to just finish.
And so what are you telling yourself? Whether it's marathons, like do you listen, music gets you off and you're thinking
No,
about nothing?
you can't listen to music because, I mean, the pros probably do, but you want to hear like who's next to you because you have several runners left, right. You want to pay attention to that. And bike is extremely dangerous to do something with music because you have to hear if the cars are running.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a car on your left or there's a car on your right. So no, you're just talking to yourself the whole time. There's one voice telling you to quit and the other voice is telling you to. And it's crazy because you want to quit so bad. The pain that you're doing to yourself, it's up there, but nothing feels better than getting that medal, man.
Yep.
When you finish and you get that medal, the pain goes away. I can't describe it to you, but it's a dope feeling.
Got it. I want to learn more about how you got into DJing.
Perfect. Dave has been telling people that we repurpose people over at Live. So he uses me as a good example. During COVID, so it turns out that my mom messaged me a couple years ago, like 2 years ago. She messaged me a picture of DJ Hero. You remember that game from Wii? And when I got that game, I had already gotten it just because of the fact that I remember vividly that I've always wanted to become a DJ because one of my jobs, I mean one of the things that I got to do in my job is to guard the DJ booth, So I've been behind the biggest names that you can think of behind the DJ booth for decades, I've seen what they do. I've seen how they control the crowd. I've seen how they just they're the ones of the captains of the party, And I've always thought that was really cool, I think that exactly by the time that I wanted to pursue it is when Dave started moving me up on the ladder, So I didn't have a chance to actually pursue it just because I kept moving up in the corporate ladder, And COVID happened, unfortunately, but it gave me time to finally learn and take my chance at it, and there was a lot of underground parties that I was going to during COVID, and I kept looking at the DJ and I'm like, man, I can do this. So I started Shazamming all the songs. I made a list. Shout out to Joseph Portes. He was the first one to ever show me how to upload music to a USB drive.
Shout out Portes, man.
Shout out Portes, man. He was the first. He was there since the beginning. He was the one that gave me the insights of how to upload music into the USB. I finally had a USB. That USB was the tracks that were the ones that were making everyone dance, and then I literally, since being who I was, I just went up to the DJs. I'm like, hey, can I play? and they were like, yeah, let's hop on it, let's play back to back or whatever it was. Um, and here we go, and then I have a really good story. One time we go to this crazy speakeasy thing. I don't know if it's still there. It's literally, it looks like the front thing looks like a mechanics thing. It's got all the drawings of the mechanics thing. You open the door and it's literally a club. And this was during COVID. The guys who were running that party freaked out. Like, oh my God, Purple's here. They had no tables, and they ended up making a table for me and my friends. They like make sure I was good. What else can we do to you? What else can we do for you? I go, can I DJ? And they're like, there was a guy named Apache that was DJing that party. Apache, shout out to Apache. He's really big right now, and they were like, ugh, because of who I was, they had to make it happen, and but that particular night, I had no idea how to DJ, so I just wanted to do it because it felt right. They brought me to the DJ booth. They told the DJ, like, yo, he's gonna DJ, and he looks at me like, why? Like, this guy gave me a little pushback because he was rocking the party, and he was but the guys were like, yo, we already paid you, let this guy do his thing.
Yeah.
Plug my USB. I end up crushing it, and I took away that this guy's thunder since people started notice that it was me. All you see is a bunch of flashlights, people posting me on their stories, blah 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 blah, and then this guy's looking at me like, fuck, like. But I only played for maybe like 30, 45 minutes an hour. I looked at him. I'm like, I'm not gonna forget you. Don't worry about it. And and to this day, I never forgot about them. I've already booked them several times, and I go, once we open our clubs, I promise you, I'm gonna book you. Don't think that this is not gonna go unanswered.
Yeah.
And now we're very good friends, because of that, And that's what I kept doing. I kept going to all these parties. I kept DJing. I kept rocking it. Boom. Things started opening in Miami very soon. Obviously, Miami barely even closed during COVID. And Dave what came up with this idea. I was like, okay, let's make you a DJ. You're already a local celebrity. So it works in our favor that you're gonna DJ only at our venues, And I was very happy with it, with the decision. I was like, okay, this is gonna be another thing under my belt that I'm doing, And yeah, my biggest party to this day was the first time I've ever DJ'd was at Strawberry Moon. We had some sound issues at the hotel as far as like we couldn't be too loud. So then when that happened, we couldn't book the big name DJs. I think I piggyback off Black Coffee's date. We didn't want to have Black Coffee, and you don't want to tell a guy named like Black Coffee, hey, lower the sound. You can't just do that to them. So we explained to their management. We canceled it. We found another day for them on another of our venues. So I ended up being the headliner for that party. We did, even though we had already sold tickets for Black Coffee, and we put my name on the flyer. The tickets were still selling, and the tables were selling, and all that. And turns out that it was one of the biggest sales till this day Strawberry Moon has ever done. I think we did almost $400,000.
Wow.
Almost $500,000 in liquor sales, and
that was like the proof of concept where it's like, wow, like.
And we couldn't look back at it, as a business move. We're like, okay, this could work. Yeah. This could work, and I was very, very happy from the support that I got from everybody. The next several weeks, I just became the resident at Strawberry Moon, and for right now, I only want to DJ at our venues because at the end of the day, it's the best venues anyways, And why would I want to work? Why would I want to DJ anywhere else? Like, I've been with this company since day one. They've been feeding me for 15 years. I do DJ anywhere else, and I've done thank God, because of having my connections, I've already done Coachella, I've already done EDC Vegas, I've already done EDC Orlando. Obviously, I've done Ultra twice. I did some things in Colombia, in Buena Vida. I'm very happy about getting the invitation to do BPM in Costa Rica next year. So the possibilities are endless right
Yeah.
now. Endless. The demand for me is very high up there. Unfortunately, I cannot facilitate all these dates and say yes to all these venues because at the end of the day, my bread and butter is with Groot.
Yep.
And we are opening so many venues right now that my focus is on that right now. My focus is to make music, to give me more credibility, and to make sure that all of our venues that we're opening right now, are they're a success, But yes, I am making new music, I am it's just taking me a little bit right now because I'm learning Ableton. Ableton is the program where you make music, and thank God it's going great so far. I did finish a song. I will be releasing it with the Hurry Up Slowly Calusa people.
Yep.
And it's a song that DJ Mosca and I made. It's a fucking great song. I can't wait for it to show it to you guys. So, and then obviously more coming. Just making music. It's just anyone could DJ. I've always said like obviously there's a new DJ coming up every week, but I always said like okay, cool, that's a new DJ, but does he have swag? And if he has swag, then he needs credibility. Credibility means music,
Yep.
Because yes, of course, I do have fans, and they're literally constantly asking me, "Are you gonna release music?" And that's what puts you at the next level. You give them music, you make good music, and then you have credibility. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah. So for you, it's just putting out your own songs.
Yeah, for sure. I have to.
Yeah.
If not, what am I doing?
100%.
I'm just gonna keep playing everyone's songs.
Yeah.
Which is, still everybody does that, but you also want to throw in
your own hit songs.
Your own
I
hits,
agree. I think that's really where you break through to the next level.
Keyword breakthrough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, my favorite set is still on my birthday yacht. Shout out Alex Sherrata when you DJ'd for 6 hours straight.
6 hours straight. My back was on fire. I was DJing on a chair.
Dude, at one point, I literally, because I was in the back of the boat and I just like forgot you were still DJing. Like literally from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. It was insane.
Literally, but I think my USB, I have enough music for 5 days.
Wow.
So if I had the energy to stay up for 5 days, we could rock it. Yeah, that's how many songs are in that USB.
Exactly. I mean, that's like like Solomon can go for 24 hours.
My biggest question about that is, does he go to the bathroom?
I don't know
how.
I don't know how he does it for 24 hours.
So it's still speculation, but I think the reason why he does those big, long sets at space only is because of something had to do with part of his deal. He doesn't get paid a fee. He gets paid a portion of the night. So the longer he DJs, the more people buy bottles, the more he makes money.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He's probably getting a bag from
for 24, 25 hours.
That is, especially for him too. Like people are gonna spend money to see him.
Yeah.
So
top 3 biggest name for me.
Yeah.
For sure. Solomon is a god.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good, talented. He's been DJing for who knows,
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, Purple.
Yes.
I think it's gonna really give our listeners kind of like who you are, how you came up in nightlife, and really the pivot and transition. Because I think that's the thing that people don't see is like these transitions in life, which I almost feel like are normal. If you're growing, you're pushing yourself, you go through these phases where you're transitioning and it may feel like a new person, but fundamentally you're still the same person. You're just
for sure
with the different skill set.
Yeah. And don't let it fool you. Like everything, all the money and everything that I've made. Don't forget that it's also given me a chance to invest in things. Like I've invested in Happy Dad. A lot of people don't know. I own a piece of it. I own a piece of Owen's craft mixers. It's a non-alcoholic mixer that we use in all of our venues. It's in over 5,000 um, groceries and Publix and stuff like that, you know. And the whole point is, you know, just to use the money, whatever you make, you know, to use it in the right direction, you know. And then hopefully, and all these things that I've invested on, you know, hopefully they hit, you know. So one day get a
100%.
big payout, you know.
100%. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
For sure.